Hi, and welcome to the first series of self mastery. It's actually becoming a master of manifestation. So, this is going to be a very short introduction to what this series is going to be about. These are going to be free. And if you like what you are learning here, you can then sign up for workshops that I'll be giving probably once a month. So, I wanted to begin this manifestation series with talking about what is possible for you once you have a strong understanding and practice of the concepts of the teachings of the law. And many people call it the law of attraction. It's just going to be called the law through this series. So, gaining and establishing a firm foundation of the basics and then putting them into practice is what is required. There's one thing that is required, and that is practicing. Because once you know what you want, once you know who you are or who you want to be, you have to practice, and that's the requirement. So, a firm foundation doesn't require you to do anything when you're working with your own energy on a daily basis and you're setting a well thought through intention and you practice having or being or becoming and all of those things. You're the creator, you're the manifester. So you manifest it. So, a firm foundation is the basics called the knowledge of manifestation. And the knowledge of manifestation is actually having a knowledge of yourself. Because when you know yourself, you know what you want. When you know what you want, you become clear. When you're clear, you are setting something into motion. You're not hoping and wondering and thinking, oh my God, is this going to happen? It just begins to transform and happen because you are in a state of knowing, this is what I want, this is who I am, and then you choose, this is what I'm doing. Now, I believe that this can be achieved really quickly if you're absolutely committed to changing yourself and your life. Because remember, the foundation of this is self. And the law or the energy field around us responds to your thoughts, your feelings, your energy, your frequency, and vibration. And Tesla said, think about this. The key is energy, frequency, and vibration. But half the time, or most of the time, I should say, we aren't thinking about energy, frequency, and vibration. We are reacting and responding, and we are completely absorbed in our sensory world and what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we feel. And they aren't even generating an accurate description of what's going on. It's coming into, for example, your olfactory, which is your nose, how you smell something. And for some people, smelling a lime would be really fresh. And they would think maybe about a margarita, or maybe they would think key lime pie, or maybe they're thinking lime juice. For somebody else, it could be revolting because of an experience. So they're not showing up and having a fresh new experience. We keep creating the same things over and over again. And in this series, we're going to talk about why that happens and how the brain works and how consciousness comes through it. And trust me, it won't be boring. It'll actually be really interesting because when you start to practice each and every lesson throughout that week, you're going to start to realize, wow, I'm actually this really interesting being. And I can work with this energy and within myself and all around me. It's actually the going within and understanding and recognizing self by becoming aware that you're the creator. You're going to begin to have a blast doing this. You see, nothing is going to change for you if you aren't willing to change. So, in this series, we go deeply into the energy and into the intention, and including the ancestral energetic overlay. That's what I call them. So, an ancestral energetic overlay, really briefly, is having habits and patterns that you're stuck with, you're struggling with, and you're asking, why can't I get this? Why do I feel like this is outside of me and that there's obstacles or there's just something within me that I can't quite grasp that belief? And from my experience and the experience of other people, and we'll talk to and discuss some professionals who have gone deeply into the ancestral overlay, you just can't get away sometimes from the energy of what you came in with. And what you came in with are a product of the two people who conceived you and all of the energies and the feelings around that. And they came from two people who conceived them. And it just, the history goes on and on and on. And we pick up things that aren't even what I call ours necessarily, but we still have that feeling or belief within us. And that's so unconscious. It might be that our parents never ever said anything about these things, but we pick them up energetically or they resonate within our DNA. And you can change this. And so, what you're going to find through this series is you're going to know yourself and you're going to be astonished at what you can do. So, once you have knowledge and understanding, you'll establish a series, or I should say, a serious practice, and focus on gaining insight. And you'll focus on gaining understanding instead of focusing on getting things. So, for many people, this is the biggest challenge. This is where they get really turned off because they don't want to do the work. But I promise you, if you do the work, you'll see the results. And when you see the results, you'll be addicted and it'll be a positive addiction. And I'm not saying that it isn't possible because a lot of people don't care about understanding, they want results. And so, and they get results. A lot of times this happens. But here's the difference: the results are not stable and they're not durable. So, what I teach is what I know. And it's based on what I have experienced and experimented with, and I have achieved the results. And even that statement is interesting, and we'll go into that more deeply. I can't go into it here on this introductory, we'd be way off track. But in short, self-mastery is the art of manifesting whatever you want and need. And self mastery is understanding what we are and who we are and how to control I'm going to say the reactions that we have that then can control, we begin to control our experiences, even in our outer world. It's literally like bending reality, but we have to bend ourselves. We have to become aware of our emotional reactions and the thoughts that we think and the things that we believe that are happening or what we believe people are doing to us. And they're not. It's just in our thoughts. It's in our energy field. And we can become very addicted to these things. And it's more addictive to stay comfortably uncomfortable and mired down in the trench of what you know than really standing up and saying, I'm responsible for this because of the way that I'm thinking, and turning away from a person or a thing that is triggering you and your head wants to explode. So I am still learning. I will always continue to learn for as long as I can. I don't know everything. I do know this is that what I will be teaching here and others that I will have teach with me, we know tried and true that what we're teaching has worked for us and we've seen it work for others. And I do know that in order to reach and achieve things, um, many things that you're going to want to achieve, you have to have absolute conviction to living and having that life. So, conviction and being absolutely certain that this is what you want, you know you're supposed to have it. It isn't wishful thinking. It isn't sitting in the cafe on the street watching the Ferrari go by and it thinking, yeah, I'm going to have one of those someday. It's the difference of saying, you know what? I'm going to finish my coffee or my lunch here at this cafe, and I know this is going to be mine. That is going to be in the garage of this house that I own, and that's what I want. And yes, we're talking about things, but the outer things are a result of the inner, of self. And that's a beautiful thing because it means you have total control to manifest. It's not pining, it's not checking, it's not going on people's social media to see who's dating who and if your ex is with somebody new or if they're miserable. No, it's about knowing that that person is yours. It's about knowing you're supposed to be with them, even if they haven't caught up with you. It's about knowing what you know. So it is about absolute conviction. It's about conviction to living and having that life or those, what we're going to say, things or relationships or experiences. So manifesting and self mastery can only be known through the doing, which means you have to practice. You have to practice faith, conviction, and generating feelings. And we're going to teach you how to do that. And you're going to learn to never quit, to never give up. And when you're down and you feel like you've gotten kicked, you're going to get back up because you know you can. See, Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote many books, said your faith is your fortune and your word is your wand. Remember those two statements because we're going to talk about a lot of this through these courses. Your faith is your fortune, and your word, it is your wand. So, what you think about and what you say and what you feel, those are your three magical tools. You can, and so is your superpower is choosing. So, you can never know what works or what doesn't work unless you are absolutely committed to practicing and trying. But the commitment has to be to self. So, with understanding, with commitment and practice, here's the things that you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to achieve crystal clear mental clarity, and you're going to keep a laser sharp focus. We're going to teach you how to focus your mind. You're going to be able to generate any mental state or any emotion at will. You're going to be able to reject and cancel any mental state or emotion at will. You're going to be able to multiply the desirable and you're going to diminish and eliminate the undesirable. You're going to be aware of each shift in your mind, your energy, your frequency, and vibration, and very clearly know what caused it. You'll be aware of and you will recognize emotionally destructive driven desires, and you won't be ruled by them. Instead, what you'll learn to do is arrest them full stop. And then you're going to direct your mind and your emotions to the state in which you desire, which means we'll teach you to generate a state on command. You're going to know what the mind is and how it works. And this is part of the brain. You're going to understand how consciousness and the brain work. You'll be able to master your relationships, both romantically, socially, your friendships. I didn't say manipulate, I said master, because the only thing you will ever master is yourself. You're going to learn to be in the physical world, but not of it, by the understanding that the world and people can't give you what you don't give yourself. And you give to yourself in your own mind, and you have to be willing to receive what it is that you want. So becoming receptive, and Neville Goddard talks a lot about that. Jesus said that to a blind man. When the blind man said to Jesus, I want to see, Jesus said, then receive your sight. And the man did. And he got up and he walked away and he could see. So we have to be willing to receive the thing that we want. We have to be open to it. which means that we have generated that state. It's ours. We own it. And so those two things will go together. So we have to be free from self-dishonesty, and we have to be free from harmful self-built illusions that we believed were useful to us in the past, or at least we thought they were useful to us in the past. So you will learn to be free from these things, including any addictions or bad habits or anything that has suppressed you and your life. You'll learn to master money, wealth, and riches. And again, that's open to receiving, it's open to having, it's knowing it's yours. And you'll see the magnitude of wealth in this earth in every little thing, including nature. By the nature of everything, it's unlimited wealth. You'll be free from needing anything or anyone to prove your own worth to literally yourself or to others, because you're going to know where it comes from. It comes from within yourself. You'll improve your health, and you'll be free from any sense of being victimized, or suffering. And you will be true to yourself without any need to follow any trend, anybody else's opinion, without caring what another person will think. You begin to think for yourself. You'll begin to analyze. You'll begin to be discerning. You'll be very powerful in a very loving way. And you're going to be a light for yourself. And then you are a light for all of those who are with you. And finally, this is being the master of self. This is what being a manifester is about, a master manifester. It begins with self. So one of the most important and practical examples in recognizing your ability is recognizing your ability to decide, to choose something. Deciding, like I said earlier, is a superpower. And the moment that you absolutely decide to change your life and stick to that commitment to yourself, you begin to form a particular reality, which is a state of mind. And you have begun to then generate the energy of having it. So deciding, choice is a superpower. And why? Because when you commit to it, you begin to create a state of mind, and a state of mind starts to generate energy, and that energy generates the having it, the feeling it. And the next thing you know, you see it everywhere. People talk to you about it, and you begin to get signs. And the next thing you know, it's sitting in your lap. So choice is your superpower. So when you choose or decide with absolute clarity and knowing, not wishful thinking, you begin to practice. You will see your outer life change because your inner life has changed, and it will continue to. And when you stay on track, you'll see it gets better and better, and you will begin to define things in a different way, and things happen more quickly. And in these lessons, we teach and we'll talk about the states of feeling like we're fighting our creation. And anybody listening has been there if anybody's tried to manifest anything. And we're going to talk a lot about this, because when we get through this and our neural networks and our beliefs and our unconscious and ancestral overlays, we realize that these things are happening because we're generating multiple states of the opposite of what we want, because we're holding on to old habits and patterns and fears and subconscious beliefs, some that we can't even see, so we call them unconscious. So it appears to feel as though you're fighting, and you are. You're fighting yourself. So we show you why this happens. We teach you what to do, and you're going to learn on your own how to do it, because not everything works for everyone. You'll learn how to master this, and you'll learn how to recognize when you're making progress and when you're not. So it gives you an independence to be able to say, I know myself this well. This is what I think I'm doing. And sometimes you do have to ask others, what do you see? Maybe that resonates with you and maybe it doesn't. But you know that you're the ultimate authority, and you'll say yes or no to that. We recognize hopeful thinking versus what it is that we truly want. There's a difference between your hopeful thinking, like the guy admiring the Ferrari and saying, yeah, I want one of those, but really doesn't want one of those, because when you want it, you go get it. And that's the difference in knowing what you truly want. The laws that govern this universe are just that. They're laws. So abide and follow, and you succeed. You can overcome anything with understanding and practice. And hope will absolutely be replaced with knowing. In the same way, when you place your hands in a fire, for example, in the fireplace, you don't have to hope that you're not burned. You know that the fire burns, and so you don't stick your hands in the fireplace. And to put that into a practical format, it's like saying, I know that getting into a relationship with a person like that is going to be like this. It's going to hurt because this is the situation that's happening. I know that I shouldn't go drink a fifth of vodka on an empty stomach. I know that I shouldn't take these pills or do these drugs. You see, because you know that. And the difference is instead of being compelled to do it by something subconscious or unconscious, you recognize what's happening within you. You master that inner craving and desire for the things that are not beneficial to you. And instead, you immediately know what it is that is beneficial to you, and you turn around, and that is what you generate. You become very, very powerful when you practice these things. It's like staying away from people that trigger you. It's by applying for a job and thinking, I'm just going to take this job because I need something, even though it has a really bad vibe. You're going to say, no, I'm not going to take that job. That job has a really bad vibe, and I know what it will do to my energy. I know that there is going to be this job that will happen. And many of us say, yeah, but I took the bad job with the bad vibe and I learned something. That's great. But when you learn these techniques, you won't have to do that. You won't even be interviewing for the job that has the bad vibe. So deciding to generate a particular reality is like deciding to turn on the heater in my home or my oven or my coffee maker. It's not based on hope or chance. I know that when I press the on button, my need for warmth, whether it be through my heater or my oven or the hot coffee, is going to be met. And I achieve my desired reality. And okay, so you could say, well, what if it breaks? Well, I get it fixed or I buy another one. Okay, we don't think like that. We don't do the what ifs. That's just ridiculous. Get off of that. It makes no sense to turn the heater on and off or the coffee maker on and off or my oven on and off 2,500 times a day to see if it's working. The thing works, right? I mean, how many times do you know when you turn on your oven, unless you have problems with your oven or your coffee maker or your heater, if it's in working condition, you turn them on, they work. You turn them off, it works. You see what I'm saying? And what happens when we do that? And we're trying to manifest something. A lot of times we're going back, we're turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, checking it. And so we're going to teach you about how to set your intention and stay in a different and stay in the desired state that you want. Because what happens when you go and you threaten or bully your coffee maker or your heater or your oven? And what do? Do you tell it that I feel angry, I'm depressed, you're making me mad, you're hurting my feelings, and I'm going to punish you? I mean, come on, it doesn't even listen to you. It's an inanimate object. So what do you know? You know how the system works. That's what you're going to learn with the law of attraction or with the law. You're going to learn that when you turn it on, it works like this. When you turn it off, it works like that. And it doesn't care what you want. You can't bully it. You can't threaten it. You can't tell it you're depressed and you're angry, blah, blah, blah. All right. You hit the button and it creates whatever you want to create. You hit the button, you turn on the coffee maker, you're going to get coffee if you've done everything that you know you have to do. You put the water in, you put the coffee in with the filter, you're done, right? If it's fixed, it's fixed. If it's broken, you fix it. It does not care. The laws that govern the universe don't care. It doesn't make a distinction. It feels you. It hears you. Your word is your wand. Your faith is your fortune. Where you put your faith, whether it's positive or negative, that's what it's going to give you. What comes out of your mouth, what's going on inside you, the thoughts and that conversation that you generate within yourself, that's what the universe gives you. Little tiny changes, big changes on the outside happen. Your mind doesn't care either. If you input or generate a particular state of mind, or you affirm something, whether it's positive or negative, it works from that moment. So you want to be putting positive energy, positive thoughts, confirmative thoughts of the things that you want and desire in it. And it's not mamby-pamby. It's not just, oh, I want. It goes a lot deeper. That's why this is going to be a very long course. There's no needing, there's no waiting, there's no hoping, there's no craving. You're not coming from a place of, I need validation, I need reassurance. I'm going to go look at the social media. Now I'm going to have a big reaction because that isn't happening. That person was able to buy that same color car that I wanted. It's no longer on the shop. They got the job that I wanted. That's not going to happen anymore. It's not going to be like that. You're not going to have to convince or force it, because what you're going to do is you're just going to know. Because when we go at it and we create, we know when we push this button and we say this is what the universe does. You show up, the universe will meet you where you're at. I promise you, it always does. So what do? I just know it. I know because I've tested it. I've worked with it for years. The people that will be teaching with me have tested it and worked with it for years. And this practice will create the ultimate confidence within you. And you know you're human, so you're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. Yes, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. I get that. But you will have little ups and downs, but the ultimate confidence will always lead you back to the basics. You have all the power. You're the ultimate creator. You create your own prison in your own mind, or you create the melting of the bars that free you. You've got wings on your back. So what will happen for you depends upon your understanding and your practice. So my experience here is a guide or an inspiration for you to work with and to understand your own power. And that's what you're going to realize, that you have the power. I'm going to end this. And since this is a very, very introductory course, in the past, when I have taught my workshop, the very first thing that I have everyone do is write down what they want, why they want it, and what they believe stands between them and having what they want. And then I want you to do that today. So get out a pen and a piece of paper. And in the first workshop that I do, this isn't my introductory workshop. In workshop number 1, that's going to be posted on my podcast, and it's also going to be on my YouTube channel. What I want you to do is I want you to bring that paper that you have written down, what you want, why you want it, and what you think stands between you and having what you want. And I want you to do the very first episode that I'm doing with those things in mind, because what you're going to find is sometimes what you think you want isn't really what you want. It's what other people expect from you. Other people have wanted from you. Other people have told you that you should be that. And if you're not that, then you'll feel ostracized from the family or from society or whatever it is. I mean, of course, everything within reason to some degree. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to do that. And I seriously want you to think for the next week after you write this down, and you should do it as we close out this introductory podcast. Write it down and then just let it sit and see what happens to you. As you let that paper sit and percolate in your mind, in your essence, and in your being, and you think during the week before we do the first episode, you think to yourself as it goes on, wait a minute, is that really what I want? And I think you're going to be really surprised, because when you get really in tune with what you really want and who you really are, that's when the magic happens. So thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you listen to the rest of the series because I really feel like it could be very beneficial to everybody. They're not like my teachings, they are things that I have practiced, but I have learned them for other people. They're age old, all the way back, prior even to the Egyptians, I'm sure. So, anyway, thank you for listening. And I hope you're all blessed and you make the world a better place.